everyone. Good morning from Bangkok, Thailand, and thank you for joining our Site Thailand Talk number 2 today on a very special topic, communications in uncertainty. In case of you don't know me, my name is Max Buntavi Jantasuwan, Site Thailand Chapter President. I'm very pleased to meet you all here today. Have you ever wondered about why you need to be a good communicator, or why do you need to communicate with everyone? As a business owner or the leaders in the organization, I'm sure that you all agree with me that every movement, every action is all about communications. And especially we are all now in a very uncertainty situation with this pandemic right now. Communications is a very key. And today's session is actually got a very good overwhelming response from the survey that you all need to know about how to communicate efficiently during this crisis situation. And we are so fortunate today to have a very wonderful speaker that coming and putting their hands to help and sharing the tips and also the technique to you all today. First, a beautiful lady from Sydney, Felicity, my very good friend and such a great and professional communicator. Second lady is Karen Yu, who is also a wonderful friend as well. She's supporting this region a lot, and she's from Singapore. And the last but not least is a gentleman, my friend, and also my partner in crime on many initiatives for the industry, El Kwang. Thank you you three for joining us today. Last but not least, this is the second webinar that Site Thailand is doing. I would like to once again thank you to our strategic partner, TCEP, who are supporting sites for very many activities. And our other partner as well is Tika, who are a very good friend and also I would say a supporting partner when it comes to activity within the industry. So thank you to both a lot for supporting Site Thailand and the industry as a whole. Without further ado, I will pass to you, Kunal, to run the session, and enjoy everyone and have a great session. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Max. Hello, everyone. A sincere thanks to our audience. I think there are about 130, 140, or 150 of you for joining Site Talk 2. And we hope that you and your communities are keeping well. Now, also thank you to Site Thailand, Tika and TCEP for having my fellow speakers and I today. And a special shout out to Mr. Shoot, Ms. Owe and the crew for waking up at 6 a.m. to engineer this special session for us. You already know the topic, but there are three main parts to today. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the current landscape, what is working, what is not. From there, we're going to move on to how to build how to build communication strategies and relationship. Last and most importantly, we talk about the future opportunities, and hopefully you, our audience, can immediately apply some of the key takeaways from today. Now, obviously, we live in an uncertain time and everything keeps moving, so we will move along with you. So we will see to tailoring today's session according to our interaction. But in order to do that, we ask you to communicate with us via the Q&A box, asking our speakers any questions that come to your mind. Now that box is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Now you can also click and vote for the question that you like or you want prioritized, and we will answer these questions along the way. Now, before the ladies and I introduce ourselves, we'd like to get to know you, our audience, better. So Site Thailand team, can we please put the first question up? Because audience, we are like, in order for us to tailor the conversation accordingly, tell us what is your current job function? Is it sales and marketing? Is it public relations, brand management, others? Now, this doesn't really matter whether you have a job or not currently. It's really focusing on your skill set as well. So once we know this better, then we'll be able to tailor it according to your job function and skill set. So do we have some results? Let's see. Okay, sales and marketing, 73%, public relations, brand management, great. Fantastic. Oh, we've got a couple of writers and journalists in the house too. Right, ladies, are you ready to introduce ourselves? So we've got Karen and Felicity joining me today. But ladies, I would like you to tell the audience briefly about you, but most importantly, what is the biggest lesson you have learned, or the biggest change you have made since experiencing COVID-19?
Hi, my name's Felicity Zadro. I'm the founder and managing director of Zadro, based here in Sydney, Australia, and it's a real pleasure to be with you all. So thank you so much to Site Thailand for the invitation. I've been running communications agencies for 13 years, and have a very strong specialty in the business events and hospitality and tourism areas. So what I have learned many things during the last couple of months, as I'm sure everybody has. But I think the one thing that has really stood out for me from a work perspective is that there's a real opportunity to have a lot more humanity in how we work. I think sometimes, me included, we go to work pretending that we don't have children, or we have a home life and we pretend we don't have a job, or we feel like there's this corporate facade. And I think with everybody in the world being in a similar boat at the same time, it's really given us an opportunity to reach through those relationships and try and create more of an authenticity and being more honest and open about who we are and the challenges that we're facing. And I've certainly had some extraordinary conversations with some of my clients that I would never have had before. Being able to see inside their homes, a whole range of reasons. So I hope in my heart that we take forward this lesson from COVID, that we can treat each other more as people with complex lives rather than just employees or suppliers.
Fantastic, thank you for sharing. Karen, over to you, a very familiar face in our region.
Thank you, Elle. Hello everyone from Singapore. I'm Karen Yu, Group Editor of TTG Asia Media. You probably know me more as I'm part of the producers of TTG Mice, a magazine that's just distributed across Asia and around the world as well digitally. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is very similar to what Felicity has said. Very often we have to keep a certain structure when it comes to work, especially in an Asian society. So that has actually broken down as a result of COVID and having to stay home and work alongside with your family. One big change that I've had to make to work processes is that we need flexibility, a lot of flexibility around our timelines. I know for many people in communications, it's okay to work from home because, with technology, you can do that. But for us in TTG, because we publish 5 regular titles along with 4 online platforms, it's very much an office job. We have to be in the office. There has to be interaction constantly throughout the day. So working from home actually had me looking at reworking the whole work structure, work processes, and how the team members communicate with each other.
Great.
Thank you, Elle.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think some of you may know me, Elle Quang. I'm the owner of Untangled. I came from the hospitality and business events industry. I think some of you may know my front-facing brand, which is BEA Biz Events Asia. But we also own another brand experience called U Agency, where we create buyer experiences or destination for meal programs in conjunction with some of the bureaus in the region. So let's venture into part 1. So part 1 is really about current landscape. I think in preparation for this session, I've spoken to a number of people. And in summary, the current sentiments are readers and viewers are feeling overwhelmed by the influx of information, are actually becoming tone deaf. Some of them actually have trust issues because of fake news, or they just don't know where to read, where to start. They don't know what to do with their future. Others consider endless promotion messages they have been receiving are a little bit insensitive because people are losing their jobs. I think the crux of it is marketers and communicators are facing immense pressure because they're often stuck between the expectation of communicating with their database in a timely manner and frequency and developing the right messaging tone. So Felicity and Karen, what is happening now?
In terms of from a communications perspective and marketing, I think what you said is absolutely right. I think we are in a very unique period of time in which we are trapped between what we used to do and how we used to do things with our marketing, for example, in newsletters or social media, in terms of the messaging, how we would pull those things together, frequency, tone, offers, the whole thing, and between where we will probably end up. So I think we're in this little bit of no man's land at the moment, and especially because policy and government policy is changing all the time. And in Australia, you know, our government is changing the rules every week. So it's very difficult to keep up. Am I working from home? Am I not? Can I go to the shops? You know, all those kinds of things. So what's happening in that situation, though, is that as people are adjusting, it's very reactionary. It's very off the cuff. And a lot of the marketing that we're seeing coming through is not going through the normal channels. It's quick, it's a bit scrappy, and it's very fast. And one of the things that we're seeing is a bit of a risk with that is because we are still insular into our own organisations, sometimes we're not really listening. And so we get this sense of being a little bit tone deaf. Are the messages that we're sending out relevant for the audience today? Are they sensitive? And so I think it really means that there's a lack of strategy hanging over the marketing at the moment, and it's very reactionary and very fast. So for me, it feels like it's obvious we're working in a vacuum of strategy because basically no one really knows what's going on at the moment. So hopefully we'll talk about that a bit later, but that's what I think is happening at the moment.
So Karen, do you think why do you think marketing messages are, you know, or the audience are getting fatigued or tone deaf?
Well, it's a lot with what kind of stories or content they're getting now. I mean, in the beginning, we were getting a lot of negative stories on how businesses were suffering, how people were you know, being stuck in difficulty, and eventually it got a bit too depressing for people. I've seen on LinkedIn people, you know, choosing to unfollow certain accounts because there was just too much negative content that's coming up out of that particular account. But you know, even in the newsroom here, we are also seeing a change in how we approach news. You know, in the past we could give like 2 or 3 days for a story to develop, or even a whole month to build a destination feature, for example. But that's clearly not happening because things are changing too quickly. So a lot of the content that we're pushing out now are mostly analysis, and it has to be produced within a day or two, because things could change and your entire content would be irrelevant by the time it happens.
Okay, but you know, I think there's a lot of pressure. You know, everybody is trying to create business opportunity, make a sale, and there's a lot of, you know, especially if you are working in a huge hotel, the cost of running a hotel is just astronomical. So why do you think sales and marketing promotion are not as welcome, and what content is really appealing to audience, particularly the audience of TTG?
Okay, so because we are a business media, the kind of content we look for has to be business related. At this point, you're right, promotional messages are inappropriate. Case studies on successful mega events that were done recently is also clearly not appropriate at this point, because things are changing so fast that you know, mega size events are not going to be the reality for a lot of us in the coming weeks and months, and even the next year. So in terms of content, we are looking for you know, thought leadership content. If you have got an opinion, a strong opinion on a major crisis or a major issue, sorry, not crisis, but an issue, or you have a strong viewpoint on something that's positive, we want to know that. And we're looking for content that's more positive and inspiring.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's quite important for us to be productive in this webinar so that we can give tools, effective tools, I guess, for our audience so that they can implement them immediately. So, but before we go into the part 2 of our session today, audience, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. So, Site Thailand team, if you are ready, can we please line the next 2 questions up for our audience? What we for the 3 of us to come together to be able to create something that is useful for you, audience, we need to understand what is the state of your communication directions at the moment. So a question will pop up immediately, and we will pop it up. We will put it up for a little bit longer because some of the answers are a little bit long. So you need to take time to read the options that you have and tell us what it is, and then we'll be able to tailor that to you. Also, a reminder to the audience to send some questions to the Q&A box that is sitting perfectly empty at the moment. It's too beautiful and white. So please don't hold back. Ask questions. If you want a little bit of a exposure or whatever, Karen is here for you. So, right, here comes the question. What is the state of your communications direction now? You have those choices. So the first 3 answers, we talk a little bit about you having a clear direction, but what is your focus? The 4th answer is really obviously you don't have a clear messaging direction, like what Philip was saying earlier. Everything is changing at a rapid pace. It's quite hard to cope, especially if you are in quite a big setup in your company, where the moving amongst the ranks is getting a lot more difficult because everyone is working from home, or it's just not applicable for you because you're just very open to learning everything about communication. So, Site Thailand, do we have some answers? We're quite excited about this one. My gut feel is number 2. I'm wrong. All right. 50% of you say that you have a clear focus on both maintaining brand presence and bringing it sales. So we are glad to hear the word brand presence. And then that is closely followed by the, I have a direction that is maintaining a brand presence. So fantastic. What are some of your comments, ladies, from the answers?
I'm actually very impressed that there's a very clear messaging direction that's focused on both brand and sales for 50% of the group. I think that's awesome. I'd be interested to know in the comments if that is from global hotel brands or mainly, or is that from more independent hotel brands? And I think also the fact that we've got a clear direction on bringing on sales for 13% is interesting. And I wonder how those sales messages are landing and whether they're actually effective. So if people could share that, that would be awesome. And yeah, another sort of 13% there of no messaging direction, which I would have thought was a bit higher. So well done to all those people who've got that messaging direction. And if you could share some of that, that would be fantastic.
Great. Karen, any comments from you?
I think at this time that we're in, there's a lot of opportunity around building brand presence, and there's a way of you turning a crisis into an opportunity for yourself. Look at the kind of stories that we're looking for, inspiring stories, messages of empathy. Those can work towards your objective there.